Yeah, so this was a pretty big game for both teams, I think,
Yep, very big.
Uh, yeah, obviously, it's big for the Cougars because they want to win the number one seed in the conference going into the tournament, and it was just big for Oklahoma so they can see the progress they've made and what their team could be.
Yeah, yeah, and they Oklahoma played pretty well. I just think if they played like that more consistently, they would have had 2 or 3 more wins this year. But
Yeah,
they've
I
just
agree.
they've had some bad. I mean, Texas is okay, and they got beat bad at home to them, and
Yeah,
they had a Texas Tech kind of tough, close loss, and then
yeah.
Kansas they kind of fell apart in the second half. They've not been
Hmm.
able to keep a consistent game. Um,
Yeah,
and even did the same thing against Iowa State this past week. They were
this
hung
past
in
week.
there, but they just down the stretch wasn't able
Yeah.
to do it. But it was a
Well,
really interesting, neat game because you had Sampson coming back, and he was there 12 years from. I mean, when I was in college there, he was the coach most of the time, and I
yeah.
remember that they showed the last time OU beat a number one team at home was Kansas in '95, and I was at that game. I remember that was with Ryan Miner and a guy named Ernie Abercrombie. He came with Samson. Like
Hmm.
Samson had recruited him at Washington State, and he brought him in. Abercrombie hit a big shot to close that game, and so I remember that
Awesome.
was pretty cool. And then two of the guys on the '02 Final Four team are his assistants, White and
Hmm.
Hollis Price, and so
Hmm.
it's pretty cool. And I heard um, that Houston's kind of now said his son Kellen, who also walked on at OU,
Yep.
and is kind of the coach in waiting, which that's good because I think Kellen would probably have some opportunities, but if that's the case, he'll probably stick around.
Yeah, I think he is gonna stick around, and, I don't mind that kinda nepotism thing going on there. He's been with his dad forever.
Yeah,
He's got the culture ingrained in him that Samson wants it. I just wanna before we get into the game, I obviously wanna welcome everybody for watching the show
yeah.
here,
Thank you.
but, what I really wanna say is I would have thought that at the end of this season, Kellen would have taken over. But I don't see it now with the state of the Houston Cougars, and, we can get more into that later, but I really thought this was gonna be the last hurrah, and then he would turn it over pretty quick here this year, but I don't think so at the way things are going for the Cougars, and like I said, we'll get into that later on. But we're here today to talk a little bit about the game over the weekend. We have steadfast Houston fan. I'm an alum of the university there, actually a letterman of the University of Houston, not in basketball but in track. And we've got another Oklahoma fan who went to Oklahoma, was an OU guy, so he knows the team pretty well. And we just, as two of the sports page pundits, we were happy to battle it out on the court.
Yep.
And my Cougs, by the skin of their chinny chins, were
Yep.
able to pull out a victory there, and it was a little bit scary going into that last minute or so of that game for Cougar fans.
Yeah. Because we
But
got the stop, but we just
yeah.
they've. I didn't know going into the game. I was surprised that I didn't realize Houston was really not that great a shooting team. They said they were 12th in the Big 12, which shows that their defense is really good. But they lead the conference in rebounding, offensive and
Hmm.
defense. And they shot so well in the first half, the rebounding didn't come up, but they made so much.
Yeah.
But then you saw they kind of won the game on their their style, getting an offensive rebound and putting it back in because that's what they're so much better than anybody at, and that's how they've been able to be so good, even not shooting the ball real well.
Yeah. The
And
the highlight the highlight of the Calvin Sampson era at U of H is just that.
yeah,
Offensively, not so good.
yeah,
Defensively, lead the nation.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And he's it's that was kind of his that's kind of how his been philosophy has that when he was at Oklahoma and now Houston and in Washington. He was at Washington State for a little while before OU, so he's
Mhm.
he's done well, and he's definitely got Houston back in the already got him to a Final Four, and
Yep.
I hope Kelvin can finally get over that hump sometime because he's had some good
Mhm.
teams.
Yes, he has. And like I said, that this was in my opinion, the start of the year, this was going to be the team that was going to bring it all the way to the finish line this year. I really felt that the team had a lot of great depth and a lot of strong play from a lot of the players there, and led by Jamal Shed. I thought they could really take it all the way. But with all of the injuries that we've had, we have three rotation players that are out for the
Mhm.
season for various reasons. I'm thinking they're not going to fare too well past the first weekend of the big dance. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
we'll
they
see.
just
We
don't have the
hope.
depth. Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah, we
depth is
hope. Oh,
the
definitely.
depth is, and then with Oklahoma, Porter Moser, this is in his third year. His first 2 years, he probably should have made it his first year, but last year he didn't deserve the tournament. And
Hmm.
that at Oklahoma, making the tournament is pretty consistent. That's something. If you don't do that consistently, you're not going to last because Oklahoma. But now you don't have to make runs. But like Kevin Sampson, I mean, he didn't win. For first tournaments he didn't win in the first round at OU, but they stuck
Hmm.
with him, and then he did have a nice. He had a Sweet 16 run, and
Hmm.
then he's got really good. He had an 02 and 03. They were Final Four and Elite Eight. So
Yeah.
I think Porter has a good. This team's a lot different. The last few years, this is a much more athletic team, but they've just not been. They were really good in the non-conference, uh, and even had some wins against some decent non-conference teams. But they've not been able to. Their best player, Owe, has not played very good, really, for the
Hmm.
last month and a half. Um, and he was really really good in the first half of the year, much improved over
Hmm.
last season.
Hmm.
But I think Oklahoma. I do think they'll find a way to sneak in. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Hmm.
But it was a
Awesome.
good showing. They they let them play. There was
Yes, they
fouls
did.
all over the first half. Both teams. I'm like,
Yes.
that was
Yes.
an obvious foul, and they just they're a little
Yep.
bit more on the second half. But man, I
Hmm.
don't know. They really
Hmm.
let them play the first half.
And even with that,
And
Javier Francis of the Cougs fouled out. I mean,
yeah, I know,
even with them
I
letting him
know.
play, and that
I
really
know.
hurt because he's a big cog in the machine of
Yeah.
Calvin Sampson's team. But give me your overall impression of the game. What'd you think?
Yeah, I was like I said, I didn't. I mean, the Roberts guy, we couldn't stop him. He was
No.
amazing in the first half,
Hmm.
which I didn't expect him to be that good, but
Hmm.
he's did real well.
Hmm.
And then just the usual Samson. But Oklahoma, the crowd, it was a big crowd, and they're definitely into it. That
Hmm.
shot at the very end of the half was crazy, and ended up being
Hmm.
a really important basket for them because
Yes.
of how down the road game. And unfortunately, Oklahoma, they've done this they have bad starts in the second half, and that's something that's, and now they've recovered a few times, but
Hmm.
sometimes they've not been able to recover, and they did kind of recover for this one. I mean, down the
Yeah, they did.
stretch, um, and it kind of looked like that possibly they were going to find a way to. But I'll give Houston credit; they were able to gut it out and
Hmm.
were able to survive. And I know it was a really emotional time for Kelvin and for
Calvin.
those players, which
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it was a good game.
Yeah. A lot of the guys, when we score 85 points, something's wrong. And when we let the other team score 84 points, something's wrong.
Yeah,
This whole game was just not characteristics of my Cougs.
yeah,
Uh, it just really wasn't. And I'm glad they won one of those kind of games because those are the
right,
kind of games you're going to have to win down the road.
yeah,
A lot of guys stepped up. LJ Cryer
yeah.
stepped
He was
up
good.
big.
He
Yeah.
was good.
And you had already mentioned Juwan Roberts. Juwan Roberts stepped up big, and Jamal Shed is just Jamal Shed.
Yeah,
Like I
he's a
told
good
you
player.
earlier, in my opinion, he's the player of the year in the
Yeah,
conference.
I think so.
He's the Swiss Army knife for the Cougs. Whatever they need, he gives them. They
Yep.
need a basket. He'll either get it himself or he'll get a great assist to somebody. They need a steal. They need that. He's just all over the place. And then it's just fitting for him to on that last shot, take it to the rim, missed it. Jawan Roberts tried to grab it. It slipped
Yeah.
out of his hand right
Uh,
into Jamal, and he just put that shot up
yeah.
and won the ball game for the Cougs. But
Yeah,
really good game. Very, very
yeah.
happy for both teams. Like I said, I think Oklahoma played their best game of the year, and the Cougs learned how to win in a tough situation. And I think
More of a
that
high
really,
scoring type thing. So that
yes,
was
exactly.
it was much different than a lot of their games. And I like the kid, the more kid for Oklahoma. He's a very good player,
Hmm.
and he's really athletic. I think he's the one on the team that has the best shot to make the NBA. There's a lot of NBA teams like him because he's athletic and can shoot from outside, and
Hmm.
he's
Is he a senior?
yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Hmm.
Um, and but yeah, he's pretty. He was a good player. I don't. I think I could see him maybe second or third team All Big 12. I don't think he's first team,
Hmm.
but he's a good player. And then I like so Oklahoma is a team that if they can hit shots, they have a shot to maybe win a game or two. I can't see them doing more than that, and
Hmm.
I think they probably will make the tournament, but
Hmm.
I can't see them winning more than one or two games at the most. And I don't even know if
Hmm.
they'll do that. I have to look at the bracket before I would.
Yeah.
But you know,
Well, the Big 12 is supposed to be the cream of the crop when it comes to basketball,
yep,
and they're talking like 9, 7, 8, 9 teams are going to make it into the big dance. So
yep.
Oklahoma does have a chance, and the chance comes in a week from Wednesday, as we were talking, when the Big 12 tournament shows up, and we see what happens there. If they can
Yep.
win a couple of games there, they might solidify a spot in that tournament.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna just look at the kind of the four. There's kind of four teams that are all on the bubble:
yeah,
Texas, Oklahoma, um,
TCU
Kansas,
and Kansas
TCU, and
State.
Kansas
Yeah,
State.
yeah.
I was just kind of looking
Hmm.
at that's Texas. Texas, they have two games left. It looks like
Hmm.
they beat OSU yesterday. They have at Baylor and then Oklahoma at home. They probably, yeah, I think if and then the Texas just splits that.
Yeah, they'll
They
split
probably
that.
they split that, then they probably do get in. I don't even think they may not even have to win a first round. But if they lose both, that would be particularly if it's OU because OU would be that'd be a bright team that they're competing with. So
Hmm.
I don't know if
Well, sorry to say, I think Texas gets in because their name is Texas, and I hate to
maybe
say
so,
that. I
maybe
hate to
so.
say that, but that's their reputation precedes them, and so we'll see what happens because they're 19-10, just like Oklahoma is, and
Yeah,
19-10, maybe they're 21-10 when it's all said and done, or 22-11, or something like that when it's all said and done
yeah, yeah.
before the selection Sunday. But Texas has a chance to get in because they're Texas, and I hate to say that, but being a Cougar fan who was born to hate the Longhorns, but
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
just the way
We
it
have
is.
that in common. So
I hear you. I hear
Sooner
you.
fan.
Uh-huh.
Now looking at let's like TCU, they probably have the easiest last two games. So they go to West
Hmm.
Virginia and then they have
Hmm.
UCF at home.
Yeah,
I think they have a great shot to win those both, and that would
I agree.
probably get them in.
That'll
Um,
get them in.
and
That'll get
so
them in.
I would say that, and then kind of looking at let's see, we got Kansas State. What do they got? Kansas State is they've got let's see who they got. Yeah, see, they have the hardest at Kansas and then Iowa State, and that
Hmm.
will be tough for them to win either one of those games.
Yeah,
I can't see them going in. I know this is a down Kansas team, but I at the rival at home, I'd be very shocked if they won. And
yeah,
just Iowa State is just really good.
yeah.
So
And Iowa
I think
State's
Kansas State. I think Kansas State is of all these a team, and then we'll look at Oklahoma's. We'll see what theirs. Oklahoma, they have Cincinnati. I believe it's Cincinnati at home. They definitely need to win that, and I think they can.
hmm
And then at Texas is kind of one of those top. That could be a. I don't know if OU definitely has to win it, but winning both would probably get them in.
Yeah,
I would say
agreed.
Kansas State of the all these bubble are the
Yeah,
ones that I would say probably won't make it.
yeah. They're
Um,
out. They're out.
I just can't see them winning those last two, and you're right. Maybe one of those either OU Texas they have to win one tournament game, but I think I do like the chances of those. So is that 8 that would make it? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah.
Yeah. And locks Houston, Iowa State, Baylor, BYU, Kansas. Tech's probably already locked it, and then Texas,
Yeah.
TCU, and Oklahoma. That's 8.
Yeah. I would say so. I would say so. And
And
then
it,
it comes
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say a lot of it comes down to what happens in the conference championship,
Yep, yep,
and, but I do think I'm my bet, if I'm laying odds, I'm gonna say Texas, TCU, and Oklahoma all get in.
yep.
Yeah, I would say so. I
Yeah,
would say
yeah, I would
so.
say so. I'd say
Mhm.
Kansas State. Kansas State, the only way they'd have to like win these last two and make a run, and I don't think
Yeah,
they'll. I
exactly.
think
I
they.
don't
I
think
think they'll
so.
probably lose both these last two.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you there.
So,
Um, let's talk a little bit about the upcoming tournament. And the reason I want to talk about it is because I know my Houston Cougars are the number one seed,
yep.
but I would not be surprised if they decide to go out early. And when I say decide to go out early, I mean they're hurt, they're
Yeah,
injured.
they could use
They
a
might
break.
want to exactly. They might want to rest a few guys. They're excited because they'll be co-chairs of the conference no matter what. Pretty much no matter what I would say.
Yeah,
Whether they win the whether they win the tournament or not, they'll be the regular season champion. And the other thing that they're going to need to do, because again, this is the hallmark of a Kelvin Sampson's team, is they're going to have to get some of these guys that don't get a lot of run. They're going to have to get them a lot of run because they're just down some players.
yeah, yeah,
So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't necessarily win the championship in this
yeah.
situation here.
It looks
They
like they
don't.
do. It looks like they're for. If they just win one more game, they clinch it. Because Iowa State's one game behind. But
Right.
if Houston were to lose two and Iowa State would win two, they do it. I don't think that'll
Hmm.
happen, but it is
Hmm.
not clinched, but guaranteed either first or second, Iowa State or Houston. That's because the next team, Baylor, they're 10-6, so I don't think there's there.
Yeah.
So Houston's guaranteed one or two. So
Yeah. Well, Houston is I think is on a 7-8 game win streak right now, and they play
yeah,
UCF on Wednesday, I believe, and that should be a win. Kansas at
yeah,
home. They, I'm just going to tell you, they want to win that one bad. So
yeah,
let me. They really do want to win that one bad, but the situation that they find themselves in, they just want to redeem themselves after the loss they had and the way they lost
right,
in Kansas.
right.
So they want to win that one bad. That might be the only game they want to win until they get to the big dance.
Right. Yeah, the UCF game's on the road, and UCF's had some good road home
Yeah,
wins. They beat
yeah,
Kansas, they beat Oklahoma. I mean, they're a very they're a team that can pull the upset. They've already proven that. So,
yes, yes,
but so Houston will have to be ready. And of course, Kansas, you're always ready for Kansas. So,
yeah, yeah,
um,
definitely. They just want to. They do want to get back at Kansas for especially the way they lost to Kansas in Kansas. So that's the big thing there. But I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to the tournament. I think the Cougars' first year in the Big 12, they have proven that they can hang with the big boys.
oh yeah,
And,
yeah.
that wasn't expected. They were preseason number 4, I believe.
Oh
Yeah,
wow,
number
I would have
yeah,
thought they were. I would have put them higher, but
yeah. If I'm
uh,
I'm not mistaken, I think it was like 3 or 4 that they were predicted to be. Kansas was gonna be the runaway in this, but, things
yeah, well,
change,
that
and we're
definitely
glad that they
changed.
yeah, they're glad that they do. I like I said, I'd like to see the Cougs go as far as they can in the big dance. They're down a few players, and being down a few players means people are gonna have to step up, and that's what I'm
Right.
looking for coming up here is players getting a little bit more playing time, getting used to a new role. I tell you that kid JoJo Tugler, that kid can play. He's a freshman, and to see him in a foot cast,
Oh yeah, yeah,
a
that guy.
walking boot
Yeah.
hurts. Oh, that hurts.
Yeah,
And
he's missed about last week or two, right? And he's supposed to be out.
well, no, he's just missed. This is his first
Oh,
game
was
that
his
he
first game?
missed.
Okay, first game.
Yeah, yeah. The other guy
And
you're talking about is Ramon Walker. He's missed the last couple of weeks, and the other kid is Terrence Arsenault, and he got injured very early in the season.
yeah,
Maybe after
yeah,
the first less than 10 games, he was out.
yeah, yeah.
But
Oklahoma lost a guy about 3 weeks ago. Hewley was a good big man
yeah,
off the bench, and at times
hmm
he was. I will have to say Godwin played pretty good yesterday.
hmm
Um, and but Hewley's depth, because he was a big guy that could come right,
hmm
and they've not
hmm
had him, and he may
yeah,
be back for the tourney. I
that'd
don't
be
know.
nice. That'd
So,
be
because
nice.
they
Yeah.
definitely could use him. I mean, the guy that is the backup, he's okay, but Hewley was a pretty solid player, and
hmm
they definitely miss him. Um,
Cool. Cool.
I was just kind of looking. I guess it starts on Wednesday. They have
Yep. A week.
and
A
then
week
and
from
then
Wednesday.
Thursday. I wasn't sure what. with the 2 extra teams, because or no, 4
Yeah,
extra teams than normal,
4
because
extra
there's
teams,
4
yeah,
extra
yeah.
teams. So
Mhm.
it says, yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I guess the final's still Saturday, it looks like.
Yep, yep, and it's nice they get the final done before Selection Sunday. A lot
Yeah,
of teams are playing
they used to always do
while their
that.
fate is being discussed. Yeah,
Yeah, the
so I
Big
like
12
to
used
get
to
it out
always
of the
have
way.
the final, and
Mhm,
when they were still when the like it'd be over, and then 30 minutes later you'd have the selection. So they'd
yeah,
have to
yeah,
kind of, if there was a
mhm,
in the finals, I mean those games, they have to kind of
mhm,
predict almost what they're, and so I'm glad that they don't do that anymore, because it makes it where you
mhm,
kind of have a whole day to really figure it out. Because I think
yeah,
if you're that tournament, they may be a little leery to make some decisions, the
mhm.
committees. So
True, true, true. But either way, I think Houston goes in as a number 1
yep,
seed. If they do well in the tournament, obviously they'll be the number 1 overall seed. But
yep.
either way, I think they're going to be number 1. And I will also let you know something. Well, I shouldn't say you. I'll let everybody listening know because I'm sure you already know that the Cougs will probably get sent to the Southern region, and a lot of those games are played right here in Dallas.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's the
So.
first 2 rounds will be in Dallas.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and Iowa State, I mean, depending on how they do, they're probably for sure at least a 2 seed
Yeah.
in
I
the
would say.
NCAA.
I would say if
And the
they
rest after
certainly if they
that,
win out
yeah,
is a
Baylor,
yeah, it's a crapshoot.
yeah,
It's a
Baylor,
crapshoot.
BYU, and Kansas, they could be anywhere from 4 to 7 or 8 or something.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm thinking that BYU is gonna surprise some teams. They have figured something out there in BYU that they didn't have earlier in the year.
yeah,
Early in the year, they were just throwing up three-pointers, hoping they could win. But now that their coaching and their team has really figured some things out, and they don't have to rely on that three ball anymore. So
right.
we'll see what happens there. But I think this tournament will be pretty good. Like I said, I don't think Houston is going to fight for the whole thing. That they're going to try to get some rest, try to get some people healthy, so that when the big dance comes, they're ready to go. So,
Who do you think you would favor to get to the championship?
oh, you mean
If you had to make the pick for the Big 12 championship,
oh, it might be Baylor. I think Baylor's tough. I think Baylor's a tough squad, and Iowa State, man. I don't know. I'm not a fan. I guess I realize they're 23-6, and
yeah, they're
they're
pretty good.
number 7 in the country. But I don't know. I kind of like Baylor. I do. If I had to put money down, if it's not going to be Houston, I think it might be Baylor. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I would favor. I like Iowa State. Maybe
Yeah.
I just think
Cool.
that, um, only because of, like you said, I'm not sure if Houston even really wants to make the long run. But
Exactly.
I would say if Houston, I'm thinking I think Iowa State, and
Exactly.
maybe a Baylor final or something.
Cool.
But I do think that, um, Oklahoma has a good chance to win at least one, and that,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what they kind
Yeah.
of needed. Texas Tech, yeah, yeah, I would say that. I mean, Tech's in. I think they're 20-9. I think they're in.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. I think Oklahoma has a good shot. I know my Cougs do, but will they take that shot is the question. Anyway, thanks for joining us.
Yep.
We are
Thank you.
going to sign off sooner. Good
Alrighty.
game.
Good game,
Congrats.
and
You guys played hard. Love
yep.
it. Love it.
And
And
I will. I'll be
we will,
cheering for Kellen,
yeah,
throughout the tourney. Other than OU, I'll cheer for Kellen.
there you go. No worries, my friend. Well, everybody, have a good night, and we will see you later.
Have a
Bye
good one.
bye.